Hello pedal people, today we're looking at the whole pedal board and pedal ecosystem of Zuta. Now you might know Zuta from the GBG 120, the blue behemoth rack amplifier with 120 watts and 4 channels and quite pricey, but the best of the best. Or the LA25 Mark II, which I have actually in the rack under my XFX 3 and use it in conjunction, real amp and the XFX. It's a dream setup in my other studio. These guys that make these super high-end amps also make pedals. And my question was, why do you have a whole range of pedals? If you're trying to establish a company as an amp company, how do you market all of a sudden these pedals? Usually a pedal company puts a lot of marketing effort behind a single pedal. And how do you do this? And what's the idea? And these are not cheap. So what you're going to see is a very mixed review. There's a lot of good stuff to say and some not so good stuff to say, and some stuff like, why are they even doing this? And I love Bascom Zuta. He's a freaking genius manufacturer, designer. Don't quite know if the pedal route's the right route, but maybe in the comments you let me know what you think, right? I can just give you my opinion. So let's go and start with a very lengthy unboxing because I've got the whole range. Let's do it. Yeah, that was a lot of products. So you know this is a big-ass video that I've dreaded to do because of the bigidity of it. Let's get a couple of sounds. It's impossible to show you everything. It's literally, this is like, 10 videos here and we don't have the time. Let's get into the product range. Pedals, yes, but also these holy rails, which I think is really, really funny, which is an aluminum chassis for a bunch of pedals. In this case, you can fit in 5, depending on the size, less or more. Everything with Zuta is complete, uncompromising quality. It's the best of the best, machined to perfection. Everything you hold from Zuta has weight and value, but value also means price tag. So this whole holy rail idea is neat, right? So you get the Zuta pedals, which again, that's an issue that only the Zuta pedals fit in, but we're gonna get to that. So I'll show you how this works. Unplug. There's a little stop here. And again, all this stuff is so absolutely beautifully machined. And now I can take this out because it has these screws. And these are actually going into the rail. So you shove it in here. And even little details like these feet, they're not glued on. They're actually screwed on. There are screws. Nothing is left to chance here. So you push this in. We'll put the little stopper back in. And we're done. Now, what I was hoping for a system like this, that the pedals would have, let's call it, little contacts at the bottom. And power and signal would just be carried by that. But no, you still have all this cable bullshit in the back. And what you're really getting is a holder for a bunch of Zuta pedals and that's really the kicker here, the Holy Rail 33, €159. There's no case, there's no carry soft case. You can put Zuta pedals on it. It's a very, very nice little board. Don't get me wrong. But at $160, I can buy the Dario expand board and be a lot more flexible and expand it and all that. And, you know, so if you get the 44, it's $199. That is what's on the table. We've got cameras showing that. That's the longer one, which is actually rack mountable. And then there's the 66, which clocks in at $250. I got the website open here because I can't remember all that stuff. So pricing is going to be a theme of this video, right? Now the rails, the rack rails, that's actually neat. You can get the 44, put some pedals in it, put it under your Zuta amp in the rack, and with these rails, actually rack mount the whole board. That is cool. Rails, $44. You get the idea. Now, what if you don't want only Zuta pedals? That is possible. You'll get something like the Troy 11. Are there other ones? There's also the Troy 22, which is wider. And the Troy 22 clocks in at $69. And what I'm looking at here, which is a very finely machined solid brick of aluminum, is $59. I mean, $59, Baskin. I love you, man. You're awesome. And I get it. It has to have that. It shoves in here. And then you put Velcro on it, and then you can put another pedal on there. That's one of his own pedals, the only one that's actually not railable. It's already a tiny bit too big. Now it'll work, but imagine you want to put a Strymon timeline on there or whatever. It's a bit. $59 for the thing that allows you to put your pedals onto the board. Money has to be no object to you. You know, for the billionaire, who cares? And we're getting more and more of those if you followed the news. Now, for some reason, sometimes you might want to have a spacer, and they have the spacers as well. This is the space. And you shove that in there, and then you have space between two pedals for reasons. I don't quite know what reasons, but that could make sense. And then your pedal board still looks neat with the spacer. They also have this. Also, if you have one of the Zuta amps, they have really beautiful, long, thin foot switches. But if you're using Zuta pedals, maybe as a boost or chorus or whatever, and you want to maybe incorporate your Zuta foot switch with the board, let me get you pricing. For $309, you get the LA25 Mark II foot switch in a really nice small package, diagonal. It is still nice to switch, and it has the screws, and that actually slides right into your board and becomes part of your Zuta pedal board. So if you're running the amps, that's probably what you want to get, because then it all becomes one. Very neat. Very neat. We're going to look at this board in a sec. Both of them have power on them, but we're going to quickly go through some other stuff that they sent me. And by the way, thank you for sending this stuff. I know I'm going to be critical, but that's my job, and you know that. That's why you sent me stuff. That's a passive DI, just a DI box. Super light in this case. Big ass rubber feet at the bottom. We've got a invert phase, ground lift, and a speaker out. Speaker out? Wait, what the speaker out? I don't understand what that is. Can you go in with the speaker? There's an input and a through, and a 15 dB pad and a merge. The DI box, but it's a good one. There's no question that anything that Zuta does is good. I mean, given the manufacturing quality, but it also again comes with a price tag. And this I will actually be using. I mean, I have other DI boxes. I mean, you know, I have Grace Design DI boxes, which are also mind-blowing. This is a reamp box. So you actually go in from your audio interface, line level into this with XLR, and then back to your amp's input to reamp. Very handy, very cool thing to have, and they make a good one. We're going to look at the Triax at the end. That is a boost and noise gate at the same time, and there are different modes for different frequency responses and stuff like this. Again, built in Sweden. Is it actually true? No, not necessarily. It might be built in Greece in its factory, but I don't know anymore. Might be Sweden. Super high-end shit in terms of like the whole build quality and everything. But we're starting with this monstrosity. On the HaudioWave 44, we have the XPressor. I mean, you have to admit that this brushed aluminum design, the closeness of the pedals, this all is super sexy, right? But at the moment, all they do is analog. So we're missing reverb, we're missing delay. And if you want to stay in the Zuta ecosystem, you're missing a whole bunch of shit. I mean, a pedal board is an expression of our own individuality and what we like and what we don't like. So if you want to put on anything that you want to express yourself with, you're going to have to buy a Troy and then, you know, waste some space on your beautiful Hardy rail. And at $200 for that thing, that space is worth quite a bit of money. Every centimeter, every inch, or every 3 centimeters, every inch, that's kind of how that is money. Compressor with clicky attack. These are riffly kind of knobs. Again, everything that you touch, highest quality shit, don't get me wrong. Chorus does not impress me, because it is a small clone kind of a chorus, has also a little bit of top end hiss when you engage it. I'm not a fan of that electro harmonics kind of a chorus, but that's just me, okay? It has different delay settings. We're gonna play around with it, might be to your liking. Fred's very strange, because that's a kind of a high Q responsive filter. So it's a synthy kind of a filter, which is way cool, but kind of strange to have in your pedal arsenal if you don't have that many pedals already. But I like it. That's super original, and I might put that in a rig somewhere. I'm gonna skip the Black Fisk. Duality is there's 2 modes. So there's a vintage drive, a modern drive with shape. There's a built-in gate and a master volume. And it's a very nice mid-focused drive. Clocking in at 3 something. $369. Dual drive, okay. Super high quality build. That's what you will probably spend on a higher end Bogner or whatever. But again, you know, I'm repeating myself. Now the Black Fisk is a power supply that of course integrates beautifully with the Zuta architecture. However, hold on to your horses, kids. €419. At that price point, I can literally buy anything. I can buy a Chox and a Chox 4. I can buy a DC7 and a 4 and have 9, 12, 15, and 18 volts at 660 milliamps when you're running in a 9 volt with 7 outputs, and then you add the 4 and you have another 4 outputs, and you can easily afford that for $419, probably even the DC7 and the 8. You could buy any of the new Canvas power supplies from Walrus Audio with many outputs. I think the biggest one is clocking in at $399 and it has 22 outputs. So what's special about this one? Got two 12-volt outputs at 500 milliamps, an 18-volt output at 500 milliamps. That's pretty special at that high milliampage. We've got 500 milliamps, 8 9-volt outs. So you got 8, 10, 11 outputs. DC 7 and 4 would have the same number. The Walrus Audio would have that number or 15 and 22 and higher numbers. The special thing is of course, super high quality build. It integrates into the whole rail system, yada, yada, yada. But you might miss this, which is special. 9 to 24 volts, minimum 2 amps. AC, DC. Center negative or center positive. I have no idea how they're doing that. I also don't understand electronics at all. This is why I have no idea, because I am clueless about this stuff in general. But that means in that little hole, you can plug in anything. Any power supply that you will find lying around somewhere, feed it in there. AC, DC, that's a band. 9 volt, 12 volt, 15 volt, 17 volt, 18.38 volt, 22 volt, 24 volt. That's cool. So there's a very good chance that anywhere on the stage or the venue or wherever you are in a studio, you will find some kind of power supply that you can jam in there, center positive or center negative, and it'll run your board. It's very special. I've never seen that. Probably takes some massive engineering to do that, and it's impressive. Yet $419. You wanna know how I'm powering it? It's pretty crazy. I'm actually running a Chox DC7 into a Chox Crux, which gives me 3 amps at 9 volts. That's how I'm powering that. I'm using a pedal power supply to run this whole board, powering the Black Fisk, because there was a cable on the table, that rhymes, and I plugged it in and we're done. So super simple. You feed it anything and it'll work. And we get some sounds. I usually don't like to do several products in one video because it makes the videos long, it makes my preparation really difficult. But Bascom's a friend, and I said, screw it, we'll do it. I'm rhyming today, wow. So here we have the Tone King Imperial, 412 Creamback loaded cab in the aux. Oh yeah, this thing? That's a Fibonacci Erotic. I like to say erotic. It's my new baby. They built this for me. They make the bridge. They make the pickup rings. They make everything other than the tuners. Brass nut. Poplar burl mind-blowing top on this baby. Really beautiful swamp ash Pau Ferro neck. It's a dream guitar for me. So, and our single coil. Let's compress it. That's what a compressor is supposed to do. More spankiness makes it louder, makes it more compressed, and keeps the sustain up. Of course, having it in front of an envelope filter is stupid. So let's do the chorus. So there's a phasing going on. There's phase cancellation, and that is a kind of a small cloney thing. And it almost kind of sounds like if you're adding like a room to it. And I'm not a fan of that. But again, hey, Nirvana, they did that. But there's also some top-end hiss going on. It wouldn't be the chorus for me, and it's $219. But if you like that kind of sound, super high quality made at least, you know? So Fred, I think, is way cool. It's got a touch wah, maybe. So the speed knob actually just has clicky settings. So let's start at 1. So you want to adjust your release. And now it gets angry. That powers and on. That's a nice drive. and the gate works. Very creamy drive. Let's switch to different shapes. I don't think it's modern in the sense of metal, genty, whatever. That's not even modern anymore. But it's a bit more gainy, and it's all very mid-focused. I think it's a classic kind of 80s amp idea. Neat. Let's check out the other board. Okay, let's take a second look at the Triax. Why second? Because we just did all that and there was an issue with the audio and we're doing it all again. The Triax is actually pretty cool and doesn't fit into the whole ecosystem with the rails. I don't know why. It is a 30 dB clean boost with 4 different modes and a gate. So you turn it on and the gate's closed or the gate is open. Pretty straightforward. Nice that it's there. That's worth $169 itself if you're buying the Zuta gate. And let's go into the Imperial, which is clean, and that's not really what it's made for. This is made to be put in front of a already screaming amp, but in front of the Imperial, higher modes will give you more stuff and other frequencies, but read it on the website. That's what I'm boosting that Imperial into. That's my amp switcher saying, no more, please. Okay, we're gonna do this with the JCM 800 modified, which is not right now in modified mode. And here we go. That's the JCM. That's good. That's a really good boost for $239. I mean, there's, other boosts like the Fortins has them already. This is good and it's flexible and it's got a built-in gate. Got no issue with that. Let's look at the small board. So now we're looking at the small board, and on there we've got the phaser, the Bandit, the Strom, the Distortion, and the gate. Pros and cons for some of them. Some of them are just great. Let's start with the phaser. We got 4 stages. You can't really see the writing on there, but 1, 2, 3, 4, and a rate, and that's it. Turn it on and off. The Bandit is a cocked wah filter, which is really cool with frequency, Q, and level. So if you want that Brian May sound, it's right there. However, it could be so much cooler if that had an LFO, moving that back and forth. It could be so much cooler if that, for example, like the other one, had an envelope filter so you could control it with your playing, then would be a touch wah. It could be so much cooler if that had an expression input so that you could put your expression pedal in it and actually control it. As it stands, it's a fixed cocked wah, which is cool. I really like it. I'll show you, but it could be cooler. The Strom is very cool, very small power supply. Same idea with all the different inputs that you can feed it in. And then we've got 5 times 500 amps output. However, there are some for a lot less money that give you that output, not feeding it with all the different electricities but electricities and different voltages and stuff. But okay, and it of course fits into the whole infrastructure. Distortion is a cool pedal. Different modes, starts from lower to higher gain, kind of, that's what it does. And then even more, oh, that only lights up. Oh, that's, yeah. And then I really like these clicky switches like on the GBG 120. Everything on here is the biggest, bestest, highest quality components and all that. Absolutely. This is a good pedal, highly recommended. The gate, I don't know, because that's like what, $169, something like that. Where are they hiding it? Page number 2. Go on the website. $189. And it's a gate that you can put in front of your amp or in the effects loop, but it doesn't have a trigger input. It's got an input and output, kind of like a classic gate, but of course something like the Rev G8, for example, or some other ones have an input for the clean guitar signal that it takes as a trigger, and then it actually shuts the gate in the effects loop. So it measures before, but cuts later. That's what you do nowadays. So that gate isn't up to date. Up to date? I made that joke before. All this I already filmed, which is pretty annoying that I have to do it again. But that's my fault because I didn't notice that Cubase stopped recording. Now I will pay close attention. Gonna start with the phaser, which is pretty damn cool. For that I have some Imperial and reverb and delay. That is really desirable. Face. I really like the phaser. Here's the Bandit. could do more, and again, not the cheapest. That drive is nice. Flexible with the two different modes, the contour, the tone, the different gain modes. I mean, this is a very good, flexible drive. Oh, the gate also works. However, there are other gates on the market that I would buy. If I were to buy into the whole Zuta rail system, of course, well, then I would probably buy the Zuta gate, right? Because that makes sense. It's kind of an Apple idea. Once you buy one, you buy all the other stuff. So, let's get rid of this stuff, Leslie. If you are in the market for any of this stuff, go to the website, have some fun, play around. If you ever run into Bascom, have a chat with him. He's smart. He's knowledgeable. He is one of us. He's a passionate gear nerd. He wants the highest quality shit on the market. And when you hold any of this, including just one of these aluminum blocks, you feel it's the highest end shit on the market. However, That comes with a price tag. Some of the stuff doesn't floor me. Compressor is nice, nothing to write home about. Chorus is not my kind of thing. I like what's it called? The Plex, the Fred. Because that's a cool filter. I like filters. The Bandit is a really cool idea for a cocked wah sound if you want that Brian May, whatever, anyone that does cocked wah stuff. But I think it could have some other features that are cool. The gate works, but there are more modern gates on the market. The Duality is a nice two kind of side drive. The Distortion, which is lamely named, is very good and very flexible. That's highly recommended. The power supplies do pack a punch and are super flexible when it comes to the input, but again, price tag. If you need a DI box that's super light and small, this will do. If you need a reamp box, this will do. The Triax is killer. Killer boost, pretty much what you need to push your amp into any kind of more that you want. I like to call Bascom a friend. That doesn't mean I will gush over his stuff and say it's all the best in the world. It is the best manufactured in the world, pretty much. He's got more amps coming, which is going to be super exciting because they are so damn good. I use the LA25 Mark II together with my Axe effects all the time. Check out Zuta. See what you like, see what you don't like. I'm not here to convince you to buy anything, which is actually exactly what I'm here for. But I'm not. Check it out. Thank you, Bascom, for being a friend. And animals at the end.